John, you know, Brad, circulating signatures.
I think he was elected last year for 3 years. Yeah.
Right,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
Oh, so he didn't just fill in the lanes.
he did the year before
Did the
that.
year before.
Okay,
Well,
we're,
actually, it's not the term, it's to the next, I think it's to the next general election. So in other words, if she had resigned, say, in her first year, say in January, the board would have appointed him to June when the next general election was, I'm pretty sure, without looking it up.
we're being live streamed and recorded.
Wow, 4 o'clock too. Are we ready to go? We have a forum. How many members are in the budget committee?
So,
I mean, how many? We reduced it to 7 slots, right?
right, so we have one opening. Well, we have 2 openings right now.
Right. So. I'll call the Board of Selectmen, Board of Selectmen, how do Selectmen get back in there? Select Board. I just can't seem to get rid of that word. Word process.
I'll fix that on the agenda.
I'll call the Select Board meeting with the Budget Committee to order and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do secretary.
Well, that's gonna be determined under item 5,
Okay.
but if you're
Wanted to make-
volunteering, I don't think someone's gonna fight with you.
So we have a wrinkle. Yeah.
We have a wrinkle. Okay, well, let's wait till we get to that item then.
Right.
Okay, are there any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none, is there any public comment for items not on the agenda? Hearing none. Consider appointment to Budget Committee. I understand we have a gentleman who is willing to serve. Fill one of the vacancies. Walter, that is correct.
Yes, indeed. Gotta keep my hand in.
So, before I ask for a motion, what terms do we have open, do you know?
I think we have a 1 year and a 3 and a regular 3-year.
Well, I say we appoint for 3 years, but. Is there a motion?
Yes, I would move that we appoint Ralph Walter to a 3-year term as on the budget committee.
Is there a second, Sue?
I'll second that.
Further discussion amongst the select board? All those in favor? Jeff, Sue,
Aye.
John, I. Walter, welcome and join us, please.
Great. Thank you, Walter.
Terrific. Thank you.
Do we don't have any other candidates, I take it?
No,
Well, so we do have one vacancy to fill.
yeah,
Correct. Okay. So Terry, do you wanna run the election of a budget committee as the clerk? Or I can.
you can, you do a good job, John.
All right, thank you. I have to be announced.
Oh, sure.
My wife is not really compromised.
So are there any, because you don't have a chair and in the past years, there has been a chair, but whose term expired as chair on the first meeting, but this year that's not the case, so I will run the election for the budget committee chair. Are there any nominations from the budget committee members for chair?
Nominate Walter.
Other.
Welcome aboard.
Sandbag. Are there any other nominations?
Shall I? You need a second?
Well, I just, I don't think so, but, I'm just curious, is there any other nominations? But I can ask for a second, I'll do that. Is there a second for Walter?
I second.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of, Walter for chair of the budget committee?
Well, thanks.
Select board members can't vote.
Oh, okay.
So Walter, I'll turn the meeting over to you for election of a budget committee secretary, and I understand there's a wrinkle.
Okay. So the outgoing secretary is Kate. Is there, are there any nominations for secretary? Maybe first of all, are there any people who want to put their name forward to be secretary?
Probably it's bad.
What's the wrinkle, Kate?
So the wrinkle is I'm not here tomorrow or Wednesday, so. Sandra and I were thinking about tag teaming the secretarial duties this year.
Thinks that's perfectly fine.
And then I know that we would have to meet again on Friday to approve the Thursday minutes. So she won't be here on Friday, but since I'm secretary on Thursday, that should. So I feel like we've got it covered, but, we were all also just, if you guys really wanted to be secretary, anybody want to be secretary, that's okay. That would be fine, but we're happy to handle it.
So only the illustrious Jeff North Graves has ever volunteered to be secretary, and that's because he likes to show off his skill at it, which is incredible. Is there a nomination or is there a motion to appoint Kate and Sandra as co-secretaries of the budget committee?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? We have a quorum. So that's all we have for officers, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question. So I don't see Camille and I don't see Bev.
They both resigned.
They both resigned. Oh, man. Okay.
Which is why we have one vacancy still, right?
Okay.
4, 5, 6, right?
Penny, can you remind me how to spell your last name?
Alley.
E-Y, and it's Penny, P-E-N-N-I-E.
Okay, so I think I'm hitting the ball back to you, John.
Okay, I just want to give a brief overview. You've got your budget packets, or I hope everyone did. I came in today and asked Terry to just quickly put together a sheet that she passed out today. That shows we're looking at a 7.48% overall expenditure increase. Now, obviously, that doesn't include the schools or the county, just municipal. Doesn't mean that translates to a tax increase of that amount, or we have not, as a board, finalized a recommendation on how to fund this budget at this point. We have talked about a couple of different things. Jeff's put together a scenario that we can discuss at a later date, which puts us in compliance with LD1, assuming nothing changes, which it probably will. Well, I'm sorry. I was thinking, Sue was passing it, so she's up there. But I just wanted to say thank you to the department heads for putting their requests together and working with Terry, and Terry putting this together. We met as a board with 3 times with the department heads, had them back and forth, particularly with the ambulance and fire and others. But having said that, Unless there's any sort of general overarching questions or comments from Jeff or Sue, I suggest we delve right into the first item.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I've got a couple of things. We did give the department heads 8.7% to build into their wages and salaries for the COLA. There were some minor exceptions to that. One was the fire department and the other was the ambulance. But for the most part, the rest of them have it baked in as their increase. The ambulance primarily is a fire department as well. But because of the market currently, it's true for everything, but especially for those service departments. We had to realign some of the pay for our folks. Because we had gotten out of whack with what's out there right now. So you'll see an increase in the ambulance, specifically minor increase in the fire department. We also, we started last year and it's reflected in this year's budget. We don't have a paid CEO. We've got John who's sitting in this, although, I mean, not CEO, road commissioner. Although we did keep the numbers in there in case something happens, so the budget is still there, but it's not what it probably would be. And the CEO is being performed by Terry, and that's the way we're doing that is baked into the budget. So what that does also means that you'll see in this budget some shifts from one department to another, primarily to cover what the front office was doing in different departments that were doled out to the departments and now being brought back to the front office in admin. This year, there's a heavy investment in road, specifically in paving this year and the budget year that's coming up. So that's reflected in there. There's also a significant increase in the transfer station. So the garbage portion of our budget went up. Transfer station went up over 13.5%, primarily driven by a new contract for trucking. And as you know, personnel costs, fuel costs, all of those costs have gone up significantly over the last couple of years, and so the new contract had to go up. It was expected, actually. So overall, like John said, the proposed budget is still, even though we gave an 8.7% increase in wages, is still up less than 8% on the overall budget, and only applying surplus to cover a couple of capital items, which is about $49,000, which is less than half of what we did last year. We still come in under the LD1 limit where it is right now. So I think that's pretty, I made some assumptions when we go forward to look at what we think is going to happen. School budget's going to be at least 7% increase. But all the other information is there. The only thing we don't have this year that we usually have, which hurts me greatly, is we don't have what the end of year surplus is going to be. We don't know how much money we underspent and how much extra we got in. So it's really hard to apply surplus to the budget this year at this point. So unlike in years past where I was very aggressive in trying to apply surpluses to this year's budget, I'm going to not be as aggressive. I still think there's some room for additional surplus to be applied, but I'm going to wait until we do the commitment, which will be after we know what the surplus is, to make any significant increases in the surplus application. So the bottom line is this is the first time I can ever recall that we came to the budget brought the budget to the committee, or that the select board has brought the budget to the budget committee. And it was already below LD. In almost every previous year, we had to work to get it below LD. For those of you who don't know, LD1 is the state's limit on how much you can, municipality can increase their budget year over year. And so there's a calculation that they give you to say you cannot go above, you cannot increase it more than this.
It's actually not the budget, it's the.
Right.
The appropriation.
The appropriation.
Right, but.
And so this year, this is the first year that I think that we've actually started with the budget that's below the LD.
What is that limit?
Well,
Well,
yeah,
it's,
it depends, we haven't
yeah.
finalized it yet. But
And here's the reason, because this year, the state has told us they're gonna give us a lot more money sharing than we think is reasonable.
particularly me,
Right.
I'm very skeptical.
There are a lot of reasons.
But you will accept it.
Right, no,
Well,
I'm not ready to
Yeah.
accept it at this point. And again, that's why I mentioned that the select board has not finalized the funding of it, but.
yeah, so in years past, we have used an estimate of about 200,000. This current year, they gave us about 270,000, so it has gone up a little bit. They are estimating they're gonna give us over 400,000. So I know there's a lot of reasons for it to go up, but that's just doesn't strike me as reasonable. But if we do the LD1 calculation, no matter how much they're gonna give us, we are still below the LD1. Because it factors in here and then factors out here, so the number right now is we're $800 below LD1 with the current budget and justifying 49,000. So I think this is a good budget, but there are some traps and some issues associated with it. We are planning for the first time to pay for the third year in a row, basically. And we're pulling we're planning, although we haven't walked into it yet, to pull all the reserves for paving to finish out. But as you know, we've got a lot of roads that. And we've got a very aggressive.
And the price has gone up dramatically.
Yeah, and the price.
So could I ask why you don't know what what's different this year that you don't know what the surplus?
Because
is?
the year doesn't end until June.
Oh,
And
but that,
usually the year has already ended. We would do this in January and the year ended in December.
oh, but now that we're on
Account
a
fiscal year.
July to June, it's always gonna be this way.
Yeah.
Correct.
So.
From now into the future.
So this is not an anomaly. This is from
It-
here on out, it'll be this way and you'll have
Yes,
this big question mark.
correct. Yes, it's an anomaly only in that it's new
Yeah,
because
Got it.
in the past, we knew what it was.
And it is one of the downsides
yeah.
of changing the fiscal year. There are many ups though, including the fact that we didn't have to borrow a dime last year
That's big.
for.
Didn't we move it so that we could know that the school budget?
Yeah,
You're
yes,
saying we
yeah,
don't know the
yeah.
school budget?
No, we know the school. No, we don't know the school.
We will though.
We will know.
Yeah,
Before the June. Hopefully,
Yeah.
okay.
Correct.
yeah, hopefully, yes. We're on the same fiscal year as they are, and as the state. Those are all upsides.
Yeah.
But there are some other little bumps in the road. I mean, one of them is that when you're budgeting for work that happens in the summer, construction season, like road work, it's hard to pin down whether it's gonna be before July 1st or after July 1st. Especially in this environment, when the contractor says, I can come next week, and after that, it'll be October. You know, so there are downsides.
But just to put a pin in it, this is a very positive sign. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna put on my best Moira. What was the starting surplus from July 1st? And I didn't bring my audit.
590,000.
Oh, so it's almost a new world record or a new South Thomaston record, I think. Your chart,
We're talking about July 1, 2020.
yeah, the current year's,
Beginning of-
the end of last year.
Yeah, 590. No, we have been lower. We were lower in.
No, I meant, I thought high.
Oh,
That,
yeah, that
that blue bar on your chart. is,
yes,
But we used some at the commitment time.
that includes that.
Oh, so that wasn't July 1st, then, that was after the commitment.
Right, but yeah, but it's, yeah, I took that into consideration.
I'm gonna go get my
Stuff.
The,
Yeah, you're right. Since 2020, it was lower, so that's the highest we've been since 2020.
and, so last year, the LD1 calculation was, for want of a better term, a highly educated guess because of the 18-month situation that we were in.
Correct.
If we couldn't just fill out the state's form and get the answer.
Correct.
Did that change this year? Did this?
No, this year it's pretty firm. The only questionable piece is how much that state share is gonna be, or how much we're going to include of that state share. It doesn't make, it makes a difference in the calculations. It doesn't make a difference at the end. It's still, we're below LD1 by $800, $810.
Yeah.
Which is, unusual.
No, it's a first during my time in the town.
I do. I don't remember a time we've ever done it.
I meant to go get this. So are we ready to move on to first? Unless there's other questions. And Jeff mentioned shifting. First item is administration, which you'll see is up significantly, but that is an example, probably the best example of a fairly major shift that was moved from assessors to administration. Carrie, do you want to walk through this?
Sure.
And highlight that in particular?
Glaring, I can't see it. So the selectmen and the town administrator, the 8.7% increase was applied to those, come up with their numbers. Phil's the administrator, the assistant to the administrator. Half of, or was it a quarter of his salary was always in the assessor's budget, because years ago, when I was in that position, I helped the assessor. I entered deeds and whatnot, and Phil did for a while, but then when we went to RJD, they did it. So he's not really doing anything for the assessor, so to me, it made sense to put it back into town administration, so I did move it back there. So that
that's
makes,
why you
that makes
saved
him
it.
look like he got a really, really big raise, but he
But
didn't.
Because you got an equal decrease in the assessors.
And then the assistant deputy get the same 8.7%. Health insurance is always an increase. And they suggest, when I called to get a number from the insurance company, they suggested, I think it was 10% for health insurance, but only 3% for dental. So I added those increases in there. And this last year, when they also told me it was 10%, it wasn't quite that high. But would rather have the money than not. Any questions about anything so far? The moderator, I left the same as $100. Hopefully we find one. The audit, I called Mindy and asked her, and she said 5,600 would do it. The copier, we have a contract with them. It's good for a few more years, and it's probably up a little more than it always used to be, because I print hard copies of everything. I like to have it in my hand and look at it, whereas Chelsea was younger and she relied on the computer more. I like to see it, so we have gone over in some months for the amount that our contract allows that her and Owen put in. Yeah, the lease began in 2019 and it's a 5-year lease. So hopefully we can get a better lease when we redo that. We left legal fees the same. Trio is what Trio tells us it is. As it is with the other software programs, there's not much we can do to negotiate with them. I did put,
So is that their annual maintenance fee and not a major upgrade?
correct,
That's okay.
I'm not in any hurry to go to Trio Web. I'm hearing terrible things about it.
Yeah.
So until they phase me out of where we are, I'm not gonna make that jump.
You love character mode, huh? I don't blame you.
Oh, it's always something. So the credit card maintenance fees is, again, what they tell us. We had money in for town meeting years ago. That's why that line's there when we had to rent a place. Zoom did go up $1 a month. The post office box has raised significantly, and that's because postal fees have gone up. Last year we got many less town reports and we did not mail them out, so I think it worked out fine. We only had a couple of people kind of grumble about it, but for the most part, people were fine. We'll do that again. Yeah, advertising is still kept it up there, but maybe this year we won't need to advertise for so many jobs. We'll keep everyone we got. And the check fees, that's about what we pay for checks a year. MMA dues are, again, what they said, tell us it's gonna be. Did leave mileage at $1,000. Maybe I'll be better at putting my mileage in. Dues and memberships left at 300, and workshops, it did leave it 1,000, even though it looks like we didn't actually do a lot, but I'm hoping to get Hannah into a lot of classes. She's doing a really good job and she needs the training, so hopefully she sticks with us. Insurances,
Karen, can I just
insurance, yep,
point out one thing?
you
The
can,
other thing that I think is important to remember is these action items are not a full year.
right,
It says it at the top, but they're just through January 23rd, so a lot of these things, they may appear underspent at this point, but will.
right, which is the other sheet that I gave you today with this is the expenditures up until March. And I'll send you one, Sue.
And we still have April, May, and June to go.
Yep.
Sorry, and
This one is through March or to March?
Through March. Then we left 2,500 for postage and 4,000 for other supplies. We do all the paper and ink for all the copiers in the building. It used to be years ago. Each department paid their own office supplies, but we just all lump it together now. It's just easier. The equipment is for 2 new computers for the counter, as recommended by Gusco, our IT person. And I left 4,000 for lean costs and 2,000 for the performance awards, leaving it at 307,708.
Are we up?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's how you wanna, I mean, we have our recommendation here. We've already voted on it, which doesn't mean we could change something based on what you folks discussed, but I guess the only real question we had, just so you know, is was the legal fees enough? Particularly if we're gonna get aggressive about enforcing the solid waste ordinance, which we can talk about when we get there. The junkie, so-called junkie yard.
We can still to call on meeting to order. The budget.
Oh, that wasn't that cool.
I know because of last year's.
Huh?
I'm gonna call the budget committee to order.
Thank you.
Even though you've already taken action.
Are there any questions for Terry?
No.
Good notes. Can one of the members, make a motion to give preliminary approval to the administration budget? 510,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? I guess we don't have to roll call because none of us.
Right, none of you are doing it, right?
We're all physically here.
Okay. Back to you, John.
Yeah, Terry. before
Thank
we-
you, Terry. Your notes are great, by the way, all the way through.
Thank you.
It's very helpful.
Point of clarification, on the administrative budget, I think I know the answer to this. It does not include the amount that we're paying you to be the code enforcement officer.
No, it
That-
doesn't.
That
That's
extra pay that you're getting to take those duties is coming out of the code enforcement budget.
correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I had that right. So, Sessions budget. Did you want to do the other one?
Yes, it's on 21220.
Okay. I'm sorry, reserve.
On page 30, John, or 39.
Thank you. We can move there. So we are looking at,
Reval reserve.
okay. So we're still. We in the selectmen's budget, we. On line 1220, we are proposing adding an additional $10,000 to the revaluation reserve. Revaluation, for those who don't know, would be if we had to do a full reval of the town properties, if we either fall below a certain limit or get, more importantly, out of equity. I don't know how much we have in that currently, but
61.
yeah, but it's an expensive process. 61,000 will not do it. It would probably involve hiring an outside contractor to go around and remeasure everything and re-inspect and re-comp everything and so on and so forth. And we at this point have decided as a board, even though we're out of I don't want to say compliance, but we're out of the word ratio. We're further away from what the state says it should be, although our quality rating, which is the equality between types of different property, is not too bad. And to me, that's more important, that everybody's treated equally unfairly, as I like to say. But so we have decided, though, with the volatility in the real estate market these days, that this is not the time to do it, but we do feel we need to keep salting some money away.
Is that been, this is pretty much the standard every year, about $10,000?
Yeah, for quite a while, yeah. And the last one we did was Boy, it's getting old now. Right?
2000.
Was it 2006? And the state likes to see it every 10 years, I think is their recommendation, but. You know, they don't come down with a club. Unless you really get out of sync, where people are being treated very unfairly with different types of problems.
So you, if I understood, you're saying the 61,000 that we have would not do it if we actually had to.
I don't think we
Do you
can.
have, yes, well, I was just wondering what close would sound like.
150,000 last time we did it.
Yeah, 2004.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think $500,000 is totally out of.
wow.
I think Rockland's in that range.
Yeah, they get a lot more pie.
Right.
Yeah, 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 $500,000 maybe,
And that's the very high side.
Quarter of a million, for sure.
huh?
Quarter of a million. for
Yeah,
sure.
oh, I think it's gonna be 250 or something for sure.
Okay, so someday it's gonna happen.
Probably will have
Do
to,
we
yeah.
need to ask the tooth fairy for money? Where's we? That's a
Well-
huge jump.
Last time we, I don't know how we. Because it wasn't long time ago, I don't remember, but
We added it to the, but we did not have a reserve for it.
that's right. Oh, didn't we have some? I can't remember. Well, maybe
We
it's
started it
just
just
a couple of years, but years before.
Yeah,
something.
right.
We just had to bite the bullet, but we were really getting. Really bad quality ratings. I mean, the people, well, at that time, the people with waterfront property, their values were way under market compared to the norms, and, you know, and that's when you really start, you're not treating people fairly, equal.
Yeah.
So anyways, we'd love to. I think as a board, love to put in 30,000, but we just,
I was just trying to figure out how long ago. So you're saying that the reevaluation happened in 2004?
I think it started.
It started.
yeah, I don't.
Okay. No, I just,
It was a long time ago.
well, 19 years, 20 years, that's just did quick math. In my thinking is like, if I love this idea that you have stuff in reserve. Not always is it gonna work, not always is it gonna happen. But knowing that in the next few years, if you keep adding to that reserve so that. When it has to happen, it's covered, or it's closer to the coverage.
Or at least takes the sting out of it.
Yeah, so I just, I agree with having money in there. I'm also thinking like. If you said something like, yeah, the next 5 years, we're going to be adding another 50. 10 every year. You're closer to.
And
Reality.
Yeah, and part of it is you, you really don't want to do a reeval. I don't want to do a reeval in the next 3 to 5 years. Anyway. Because again, the market is still in flux, and I don't think we're going to come out of it in that time period. And I don't want to do it if we're not, like John said, if we're not that far apart between neighbors. In the equity, then the Band-Aid fix that we're planning to apply this year is just raise everybody to get us closer to equal to what the state has for the town overall. So everybody goes up, so it doesn't affect anybody's
Just
taxes.
do it across the board.
Yeah, so everybody has the same piece of the pie, it's just a bigger pie.
Yeah.
But the taxes don't go up.
And
For
the
that.
re-
Much.
For that.
And the main reason we do that, there's 2 reasons. One is it gets the state away from looking at us. Right now, they're looking at us, we're at 79%. That's in their mind, that's below 80%. So then they start looking at the other numbers really closer. But the other is that it has a direct impact on the homestead exemption, the veterans exemption, the tree growth exemption. All of those exemptions are based on their percentage. So instead of getting 100% of the exemption, you get 79%. So if we can get that to 100, then everybody gets their exemptions.
So I have another question that may be really dumb. You said the state's trying to shove more money at us than we want to take. Could we
Yeah,
take some?
we want to say that. We are having trouble believing the state's numbers. We think that they're going to go, oh, wait a minute, we made a mistake, which they have done in a couple of towns just recently. And making up schools. Anyway, they had calculated, made a mistake in the calculations, so they're fixing it. I think they may wake up and say, wait, we made a mistake with you guys, it's only gonna be 300,000 instead of 400,000.
Well, the other reason is the revenue sharing is tied to a percentage of this income and sales tax intake the state takes in. So if the economy slows, they take in less income and sales tax. And so we're getting 5% or whatever it is, 5.5 now of a smaller intake. So that can drop it. And the other thing that can drop it is that, and this has happened in the past, is all of a sudden states right now they have a pretty rosy revenue picture. But there's been many years when they didn't. And revenue sharing is a big pot of money. And when they're in trouble, they seem to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not quite as sharing it. Well, who knows what the economy, I mean.
No, we always just know from the state what.
Oh, they won't tell you, they're just giving you an estimate, it's a function, they don't give you they don't say you're gonna get $100.
We don't even know for sure. They've told us what they're gonna give us for this year. We haven't seen it yet. You've only seen part of it.
You're
We've
talking
seen
about
less.
2022 or 2023? I mean, I'm sorry, 2023 or,
Yeah, this year.
yes.
This year's, we've gotten the first payment.
Okay,
They're going to give us another one. If they give us another one like they say they're going to, it's gonna be more than what they gave us the first time, which is usually the first one is higher than the second one.
Well, I get two, that's home revenue monthly, right?
Right, revenue.
Oh, it's
like,
monthly.
And revenue sharing is a function of the economy, so they're basing this number, assuming they're gonna intake, say, just to make it simple, $100. But if they only take in 90, we're gonna get 5% of 90 instead of 5% of 100, so they're never gonna tell us.
so you get it money.
You basically get the check.
That's right.
And it's 5% of whatever they took in that month. And it's interesting to see that the months vary dramatically too.
Sure.
Although there's a bunch of stuff right now that they're talking about making it 7%.
Yeah.
So who knows what it's gonna be? It's just hard to
Yeah.
believe the number that they put in.
But anyways, back to the reval. I guess we can turn it over to you.
So you.
That's a lot of discussion for the.
$10,000 reval, yeah. Can I have a motion to do preliminary approval of funding the reval reserve at $10,000?
Make a motion.
Bob,
I'll second.
any further discussion or anybody want to amend the motion? After these guys have done so much work? No, good. All in favor? Lead on, McDuff.
Carrie, you want to walk us through the assessors real briefly?
We gotta
I
do
think
the
it's pretty simple.
budget, the building and grounds of,
Oh. Am I? I'm sorry, I don't have my agenda in front of me. I'm just kind of going by the book. Building and grounds. Sorry.
tried to break it up so
Yeah,
it was more balanced.
no, that's fine. We'll go to building and grounds. I just thought with the admin tied in so closely, but that's okay.
Yeah, probably would have made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, this is a good one to have a discussion on, so. Do you want to walk us through this?
Sure. So,
What page are we going through, Chair?
9.
9,
I guess I'll take out my agenda.
line 274 starts. The custodian was given a raise, as everyone else was. Piper and Med reflects that. Cleaning the boilers at here in Guilford Butler. Jerry gave me an estimate of $3,000. Trash removal has been interesting since Judd isn't there. I guess that's all we'll say.
Oh,
So it has increased a little bit. And hopefully it will stay that way. Water system, the salt port will be about around 415. Mowing contract increased a little bit. This year, we moved unanticipated and maintenance into one lump sum instead of having them separated out. So if you look down, facility maintenance is 10,000. Fire extinguishers, they come in, but it's Eastern, I think it's Eastern Fire. They come in and inspect all of our fire extinguishers in every building in town, every year.
Town building,
The what?
not every building in town, every town.
Every town building in town, okay. And the floor maintenance hadn't been, it's $1,500, that's what he quoted us, for this year and next year, and we hadn't done it. Well, it wasn't done, we'll just leave it at that. They did a fabulous job, looks really good, so if we really need to keep up with it, so it's not such a major jump then. Generator maintenance, $1,000. The sprinkler system testing for Gilpin Butler School, the contract is $450. Seacoast Security is $876. The fire bay doors is $1,200. We have a contract with them so that we get better rates and when they do work. The internet, of course, went up. I think that she said she went up $10 a month. And then in the following 6 months after that, because she's on a regular year and we're not, it would go up another $10.
with the sheet,
Shannon. Dream Local.
doing local.
Yep.
okay.
Bottled water is at 200. Insurance is, I based it on what I talked to Nicole about rates. What'd she tell me the budget? Yeah, she predicted a 10% increase on insurance, but it won't be that bad. And we put in $2,500 for supplies, cleaning supplies, like everything else has gone up. And it is recommended that we replace our boiler sooner rather than later. And Jerry gave us an estimate of $46,000 for that.
That's the boiler here.
In the school, yep. I mean, in this building, yes. Any questions for anybody?
And are you going to drain the maintenance reserve as part of that $46,000? Because it's less than 46,000, yeah. The reserve balance,
The building reserve?
yeah.
We haven't,
We haven't
We
discussed
haven't
that,
really
I
dis-
recall.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, we've only got 28,000 in there, so we were planning not to use it.
and you're still under LD,
Yeah.
okay.
But we,
So it keeps it there,
yeah,
yeah,
but we haven't finalized anything again on that funding side.
And again, where I said that I was only intending right now to use 46 of this.
is for that, okay.
Yeah, so that right now my intention is to try to do that out of surplus.
So we've already paid for the boiler.
There you go. In fact, that's true. Just.
Walter, could I ask Terry a question?
Sure.
Just dawned on me, if we're gonna put a new boiler in, we need to clean the old one here.
probably not, but it.
Is
no,
that something you
probably
can
not.
ask Gary? 'Cause,
Yep.
I mean, that's. Well,
Be $1,000.
$1,500, right? Or,
Well, he said $1,000 for cleaning, 1,000 for each one, and $1,000 for incidentals.
okay, $1,000 is
Yep.
$1,000.
Yep, I can ask Gary that.
That's an expensive boiler.
Well, it's a big building.
It's a propane system. That would be more efficient and economical.
Thank you.
Shine Bob.
Won't make Susan Ware happy though, right?
They do propane, don't they?
Yeah, that's how it's the propane.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's, I dare say that's a budget estimate. I mean, we certainly could put it out to bid and
Yep.
find out exactly what we get.
Yep.
But we may need someone to help us spec it if you put it to bid. That gets a little more complicated.
They'd come in and spec it. If you want someone to give you a bid on it, they'll come in and look it over, I would think.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yes, but it's, I find it's all, personally, my experience is that you're better off to have someone independent come in who's not bidding on it and spec it, but that's a fee associated with that, obviously, but at this point, it's a budget estimate. This came up fairly late in the process.
Yeah,
Jerry said.
Yeah.
Clean the boiler this winter and basically told Terry that it's getting beyond its time. We've got our money's worth out of it.
When will that happen
I don't
this
think-
summer?
I don't think we've got that- I
we,
don't think
yeah, we
we've got
haven't got that
yet.
far.
Is there propane in the budget? For the generator and stuff? And the new
We have,
boiler?
I don't think we've ever filled that generator one since I've been here.
Cause I don't see a propane number here.
Well,
Well,
that's true, but you
fuel.
wouldn't have heating oil. If
Right.
you, so
Yeah,
I don't know how it really compares.
but I was just thinking,
This-
we're also going to have the generator at Gilbert Butler Center too. That at least one time fill up,
Yep,
so
that could be used from the relocation money, couldn't it?
That could be, it's in now, right? The generator?
it's there, it's not hooked up.
No.
And we don't have the
Tank, yeah, but that's potentially something that could happen this year.
Oh, May 4th, May 5th.
No, I mean, fill up the propane tank.
Yes, we'll have to do that to
Test
test
it,
it.
yeah.
It hurt us talking.
I think it's yours.
It was-
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so is there a motion to give preliminary approval to the building and grounds budget?
Okay.
Thank you.
A second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, you guys are hitting it out of the park.
We did propose putting 5,000 into building.
So which we're going to now, actually, right?
Yeah.
Since I got my agenda right,
Line 1229, if anyone's. looking.
1229,
And you said that's at 28,000.
Yeah, down below. She's got the balances down
Oh,
below.
like,
oh, good, okay.
cover that.
Put it on.
So we're on line 1229, building reserve. Proposing adding 5,000 to that.
Okay, is there a budget committee motion for preliminary approval of that reserve operations transfer to reserve?
So
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
But I make the comment, I just, one thing we haven't really focused on, but I was out back at the salt shed the other day, just got back from 3 months away. And I noticed several, it was a very bright day, several pinholes in the metal roof. And I looked at it quickly with Mary, and it appears as though they're rust spots. And that's a big roof.
Yeah,
So, just, that's another, when people think about town buildings, most people don't think of that building. But it is a town building and an important one. I would encourage us to not, make sure we don't skip on this.
Are you thinking it needs more?
No, I mean, I haven't. Just learned about it 2 days ago, and I haven't really
Observation.
looked at it, and I just thought to myself, replacing this roof or even repairing it could be, it's high, it's, so. Just throw that out there. That's another building that we have to take care of. So,
Okay. All in favor? I have a question, since we're, so. The select board doesn't need. Permission from town meeting to draw funds from reserves, as long as that they're going to the kind of thing that the reserve was created for.
right,
But you do need permission to take operating funds and put them into the reserve, so
yes.
that has to be part of the budget process, okay?
And we as a town have a fairly long tradition, if something is, we think maybe controversial, even though it's for that purpose of going to town meeting, even though that you're ever not required to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example,
The
fire.
fire truck.
Wouldn't buy a fire truck, even though we're allowed to.
Well, strictly with reserve, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now assessors,
Yes.
so Terry, you want to walk us through that quickly?
Sure.
Highlighting the other side of the fill change. Page,
Page,
I think.
Yeah.
line
Five.
38.
138, fine.
Oops, I gotta go backwards here. Okay, the assessors. They got their big raise too, up to 474. Bill was removed, moved to admin. So the benefits also dropped.
The benefits were also moved to admin.
Yeah, because he used to get his health, part of his health
Yeah.
insurance was booked out of here. We are no longer with. Currently are no longer with RJD. Kevin McCormick went out on his own. We have contracted with him, so we're saving a little bit money on the agent services. I convinced the board that we needed a new software program for code enforcement. And that's the cost of the first year and setup. Oh, no, that's not that. That's the next
Yeah.
budget. That's just a preview. This is the vision and trio. Sorry. Lost where I was. And the tax maps are gonna be 2,500 again. So we work with comp and unemployment, and we get the book bound, the commitment book bound to the University of Maine, so it's relatively inexpensive. So this budget has a nice little decrease.
Questions from the budget committee?
And truly the decrease, I mean, shifting fills,
Yeah,
but there's a decrease now because we went with the guy who was working, but he went independent.
yeah, it was like $1,000, $1,500.
But I think we're gonna get better service for, and it's gonna
Oh,
be 50, we're already getting better
definitely,
service. It's
yeah.
$1,500 less. So,
Yeah.
Nice.
The only downside is he's all alone.
Yeah, he does seem to have some backup that
Yeah.
can help him, and,
Right, but he was not a company with
right,
20 employees.
if he's sick, he's
Right.
gonna be sick.
Is there a budget committee motion to give preliminary approval to the assessor's budget in the amount of 34,981? I forgot to be calling out the numbers for these things, but we'll catch up with that on Thursday or Wednesday.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
Thank you, assessors, for your fiscal.
Yeah.
strength.
CEO LPI. Line 412. Correct. Yes. 14. I'll just start this by saying, this has been a nightmare.
Right.
Well, I can attest to it. We've had a revolving door of assessors over the past, code officers over the past several years. We've hired some folks that were well experienced and they didn't work out so well. We hired someone who was not very well experienced, but was local, and we're hopeful if that was gonna work out and he'd grow into the job, and that didn't work out. And we're getting lots of issues, lots of complaints about different things. There was a lot of inconsistency, missing paperwork. So finally, when we lost Dan Dates, I can't remember when he resigned, sometime last year. We advertised again, we got literally 2 applicants, or 3 maybe, who weren't even remotely qualified. So we asked Terry if she would be willing to assume performing the CEO duties. First of all, we had Terry Brackett ask him again if he would do the plumbing inspector duties, and he's the plumbing inspector in St. George, and he agreed, and that's kind of the simple part, that's kind of straightforward, the contractors know it pretty well. So that's kind of the easy part. The CEO part is the tough part. And Terry agreed, and we're paying Terry, I can't remember how much it is, but extra, but it's nowhere near as much as we have budgeted here. And she's pulling her hair out, particularly yesterday, for example. But I think personally, is the best CEO we've had in 10 years.
The bar was pretty low.
What?
The bar was pretty low.
Well, that's true, but you are actually taking some classes, right?
Yeah, I guess I have my certification came in the mail.
So
Friday,
Terry said
right?
this, I don't know
I
how,
don't know.
I don't know how I'm joking with you, but she said, well, maybe this would be a nice retirement job, part-time retirement job. So, but we kept the budget basically the same as it was, correct?
Yes.
Knowing that Terry may get into the busy season this summer and say, I can't do it. And we'll have to go back out and try to find someone again. So that's just sort of the background information. And if Terry, if you want to walk through the particulars,
Okay.
please do. Unless you want to add anything, I mean.
Now you got it.
Okay.
And just so you know, one of the reasons that our legal costs were as high, if you looked at that legal line, we've already spent more than what we put, or the same as we had budgeted, close to what we budgeted. And one of the primary reasons is the complications of the CEO job that drove us to legal more frequently than we normally like to do. And I've got to say that since Terry's taken over, we have gone to legal hardly at all. She's been able to handle most.
But I do see cases where we're going back.
Correct.
Particularly if we, just so everyone knows, we sent out letters last fall to how many residents?
There's quite a few, like
19.
19 or 20, yeah.
Basically the most egregious offenders of the solid, junky yards, for lack of a better word, I hate that word. Saying that we're gonna be, we've had a lot of turnover, but this ordinance passed, we're gonna begin to enforce this. So please try to voluntarily clean your act up. And Terry's plan is, to be more aggressive about that, once the spring hits us, and for those who aren't working on it, and that's gonna probably involve some legal costs to get that enforced. Plus there's 2 or 3 complicated code cases happening right now, where some of it is not entirely the owner's fault. It was sort of because we didn't have our act together as a town, and they got misinformation and bad information, and so.
What kind of legal fees are you talking about?
It depends. I mean, if we have to, with the junky guys, I mean, her advice to us was to get everybody on the same timeline, and then if she goes to court, she can go into court with 6 of them that day. And that's more efficient, or 10 of them that day. And because the judge will hear all 10 in a row, and she doesn't have to travel to court 10 times, so forth, so we're trying to work through that. I don't really have a sense. And legal fees is always, you never know when someone's gonna sue you or.
Right.
Yeah, but. And we've been threatened with that on a few of those junky yard letters, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know. If it'll actually
I
happen.
saw, when I first sent them out, I saw quite a few people really do something, but you know, the usual ones haven't really done much. And as time went by, it has kind of left their minds, but it was hard to see things with all the snow. Now there's no snow and
Yeah,
the mud's going, so we'll get going on those letters again.
but remember too, is as long as Terry remains in the CEO position, we're not spending all of that CEO salary, so there's money there that potentially. It's not in the right place technically, but it could be used to help fund some of the CEO activities. It would of course be legal fees though, but
Who determines that it's a junkie yard or they,
Yeah.
hold on.
The CEO.
so you just driving by and you realize this is,
Yeah, I mean, if you look around, some of them are really obvious.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I realize that,
Yeah.
but I'm just curious if there's a,
Well, the ordinance we passed last year defines it fairly.
okay,
Right.
I do remember that,
Yeah.
because you know, there's certain
It's
places.
not near as subjective as you would think it is.
Okay,
The
because it-
ordinance is pretty clear
Yeah.
on when you cross, what it takes to cross.
But obviously, you're gonna have the gray area case.
Yeah, but it's something, do you take into consideration if some people are capable of it physically or financially or?
The ordinance doesn't. but- And that would be a problem, I think, if we did. But anyway, if you wanna walk through the budget.
So even though current code enforcement officer is not making $25,000, we left it in there in case I just come to a point where I can't do both of them, but I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. I have Hannah, she can do a lot. The plumbing inspector, Terry gave me his formula of how many average permits and how much it is, so we just did that little formula and gave him his increase. Biker and meds based on the wages. We did end up getting Dan a cell phone because he didn't want to use his personal phone, which I certainly can understand, because you don't want anyone to have that number. So we do have the phone. I don't use it because anyone can reach me here every day. I'm here all day. But again, if I can't do it or stop doing it, then it's an option to have the phone for somebody. I left the mileage the same. Workers' comp and unemployment. There's no supplies. And then we come down to equipment, which is a new software program that St. George has it. And I went down and looked at it. It will track permits from the beginning to the end much more efficiently than we've been able to do with paper. You know, we have paper folders, and it's everyone's best intention to keep everything in that same folder, and this will just be so much clearer and neater. You can do both code enforcement and plumbing in it. It's the 1,500 a year or 1,200 a year. This 3,200 includes the setup cost and the first year's charge.
So in the second year, it would be about half this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And we can also upload our old permits so that eventually we hopefully can get everything in there, and then someone who hasn't gotten a permit in, you know, the last 5 years can come in and we'll be able to pull their whole history up and add whatever we do to it. I think it would be very good, even if I don't end up continuing, I think it would be very helpful for whoever's in that position to have. Unless they don't like computers, and then they would go back to
Oh.
the old ways, but. I just think it'll help us keep track of things better. A lot easier to have a paper trail.
So why is there no select board number? Why is there column blank?
Why is there no number?
Yeah.
Yeah,
nothing
there's
under the
department head
select
number.
board.
And then,
Budget.
Oh, it
Because,
must have got deleted.
yeah, no, did we decide to do it this year?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the one we're gonna do
Oh.
this year.
This year because we
Oh,
have.
that's right. That's right.
that's why.
So you're trying to sell something, sorry.
Huh. Yeah, that's right.
And
That's right. I worked out with them that we gotta get a good deal going with them.
you're gonna pay them in June, and then your next, the one for $1,200 won't be due until
The following.
following July.
Right, yes.
So that 3,200 is out of last year's budget,
This
This year,
This
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not,
not the project.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not paying attention here.
you're already.
I'm just so excited about the program. I did have quite I talked with Kristen today, so it kind of like, this didn't get, I meant to review it. And
Yeah.
Got
So
sidetracked.
that number's just gonna move over somewhere and not be this year's.
$3,200.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
so,
last column is.
Selectmen has recommended 33,623.
yeah,
But it's a good thing we explained it to you.
Yeah, no, I wasn't asking about the 33,623. I was asking about,
yes, that was,
I understand.
that was my
I
bad.
got it.
I'm excited about it. I forgot we finagled a new way to pay.
Walter,
There you
if
go.
that's over to you.
Yeah, is there a motion for preliminary approval of the CEO and plumbing inspector budget of 33,623?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion, all in favor? Thank you.
Okay, planning board, line 213. Harry, I'll ask you to walk through this too. I will just pitch again, the planning board continues to need members. We are down one full-time member and two alternates, correct?
Yep.
So if someone's out sick and someone has a conflict or something, we got issues, so.
Yeah, they had to cancel last month because they didn't have quorum.
And people get really upset about that, and that's when they charge off on their own and go build something, and then all of a sudden that becomes a code issue and a legal issue. And so everybody knows anybody interested in the planning board? Even as an alternate? Terry, you want to walk us through this?
Yep, I think the only increase in this is. No, that's a decrease. Well, we'll go through it. So. The assistant deputy is Hannah. She is taking the notes and doing the agendas for the planning board. So that is her cost. It was budgeted at. Oh, I don't have my notes on that one. Oh, there's the bottom one. 5 4-hour meetings and then 12, 1998 at 5.5, 5.4, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway. I went with a formula and that's the number I came up with for 12 regular meetings and 5 workshops. I don't think they'll end up meeting 12 times, but maybe they'll get enough people. I left the advertising the same. Irv said mileage could be less. This is, Irv sent me this budget. Mailings is 150. They have sent out more notices for hearings than in the past, but that should still be enough.
When we changed the bylaws,
Right,
they
change
changed
that.
the bylaws
Yeah.
to require notice of certain projects that meet certain thresholds.
And there's volunteer insurance there and unemployment. For the note taker. Any questions?
Questions? Is there a motion for preliminary approval, planning board and appeals for the budget? At $2,826.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, streetlights, we go to line 841, correct? Yep, page 27. So fairly simple budget, electricity to CMP for our streetlights. We continue to budget the lights because we now own them. Although we can't get them to come and maintain it, so we may not spend that.
What does that mean?
That means that,
I'd like to get,
means that Headstone Electric, which signed up to do all this maintenance, is underwater with manpower. And
Oh,
they took on way more business than they could handle, apparently. I think they're still doing it, aren't they, Terry? For,
some of them,
I schedule appointments with them, yeah.
Yeah.
but then they cancel it.
Yeah,
right.
they just canceled again too.
so then you have burned out lights and nobody's replacing them?
Correct,
how many are
Not
out
good.
right now?
2.
And plus, we tried to get them to add a light down at Guilford Butler. and
Yep.
We had several appointments, 3 or 4, right? And they
Yep,
canceled all of those.
yep.
So we're now heading another route on that light. but
Yeah,
That's another story.
yeah.
Terry's calling me names under.
What is the discrepancy between the department heads and the select board on the fuel utilities and phone?
On the dues fees and travel,
No,
Line
it doesn't add up.
846.
840,
The 875 was the Ubiquia software,
and we decided not to do
and we
that.
decided not to do it, but then I think at the next meeting, it decided to do it because Penny wanted to control her light. But now Penny's not gonna have her light anymore, so it doesn't matter.
But we have 0 budget.
Right, because
I'm on the switch.
You can put it-
Cheaper.
Yeah,
because
The other
we
thing
flipped.
is, if you add that up, that doesn't add.
which doesn't add up.
Oh, the 870, never mind.
4,300 adds up, right?
Yeah,
So if we're gonna go back to not having Ubiquia, that's good, but if we're gonna go with them, because then we discussed the 3-year plan.
But I thought we decided. That's the problem, I can't remember, this has gone back and forth so many
Yeah.
times.
I think
I think now we're not doing it because Penny's gonna have a
We
different
didn't
light.
budget for
We didn't
And you
budget.
got a flashlight.
it, so I think we're okay, then I think it's a 4330, I just think we haven't gone. We kind of made the decision in developing the budget that we weren't gonna do it, but we didn't actually go back and formally rescind our earlier vote, I think is. what-
Right, that's it, yep.
So this is the software that shows where all the lights are and notifies you when they go out and all, and.
Right.
Is it
And-
problematic?
Oh,
Does the software work?
yeah, it tells me there's a light out.
But then-
but it also allows you to regulate, you can increase or
Right,
decrease,
right.
it, but we don't use those.
But we don't use the
We don't
features.
use
Yeah.
those features.
Feature rich, but no value to, okay.
Yeah, not for us really, except for Penny was when they were gonna put a light there. They wanted to be able, they wanted to be able to shut it off at a certain time so it
Right.
didn't interfere with the neighbors, but that's gone by the wayside.
So there's just not gonna be a light in the parking area at Guilford Butler.
No, there will be one on operated by a switch in the building.
Oh,
It's just not gonna be a street,
just if there's a light,
yeah,
it's kind of dark.
It is.
It's dark.
and Hedstrom has been scheduled to do it
Yeah,
since last October, right?
Yeah,
And they just keep canceling.
yeah,
And
no,
then they rescheduled to the end of April, so we said, well, we're not going to need it then, so forget it.
But this is a problem across the board. I mean, you can't get.
Yeah.
Contractors. And you-
I-
And if you push them at all, they say, oh, find somebody else.
Seems to
Yeah,
come
but
out
that
to the
worm,
same
worm will
thing.
turn one of these
It
fine.
will, it will.
Can I have a motion to approve the streetlight budget of $4,300?
Motion.
Second, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Bob. Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Okay, moving right along. Town landing, page 384. I mean, line 384, sorry.
Line, page 13.
I just have to say. Was it you say that
Oh, that was Hannah. I handed it off to Hannah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And did she do the calligraphy up here?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
Nice.
What can you do? Oh,
Fancy names on the front, John. Oh, I don't think yours is fancy, John, because
no, I get fancy.
she just said fancy with the budget committee.
Ah, man, it's a whole lot fancy. So Tara, do you want to walk through this, or do you want me to, or,
Oh, either way.
well, I can walk through real quick.
Okay.
Putting the float in and out, we do need, there are 2 or 3 of the cement pads that are on the ramp where the rebar is it's the cement's corroded or eroded, whatever it does. And the rebars are sticking out. We've cut, I think Arthur cut one piece off, didn't he? But they're gonna puncture trailer tires and stuff, so they really need to be replaced. We have a couple of them sitting on the wharf. They've been there for years. But so this is kind of the work to take the old ones out, put the new ones in. And miscellaneous, I mean, everybody's always seems to be breaking the rail or a ladder step because they tie boats to it or whatever, so some money in there for bolts and stuff like that. Portable toilet, trash removal, and restriping the lines again down there. And trash bags. Pretty straightforward, and this is always funded by the boat excise tax account. Okay.
Has, the sprucing up, the Gartley Dorsey do over the plan, for the, especially for the Gray Smith area shown up on your radar screen, collective radar screens?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
I think about it from time to time, but
We mentioned it.
yeah, but we just got a lot going on, and
It seems to me that it needs a champion that's not, you know.
it probably does.
Or there's several champions.
Sorry. John and Jeff brought it up to me as part of the Conservation Commission and asked if we would look into it. And I said, sure, where do we get hold of the plan? And that's where it all tanked because nobody could find the
You have it.
paperwork.
I have the plan.
There are two
You
of them.
do?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And actually, it was Walter that asked you that.
Was it?
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
I could have sworn it was.
no,
I guess
it was
I.
Walter, but
Okay, whatever.
anyway,
Okay, well, the Conservation Commission would be happy to look at it if we can get hold of the plan.
All right, I just,
but I agree with you. I think it lost its champion in Jan Gaudio when he
Yeah.
left, and
Hmm.
maybe we should ask him if he,
Yeah.
would like to, step up again.
but
Uh-huh.
It would be really important to get
A fisherman.
or a boat user, someone that uses the town landing to be involved, because when I saw the plans, they were just for the kayak.
Yeah.
And, I did not think the plans were well done at all for the current use and what boat excise should be paying for.
Plus, I'm sensitive to some other stakeholders there.
Yeah.
Particularly Memorial
Yeah.
and. You know, and I think that envisioned moving that memorial to the Veterans Park, which I personally thought was not appropriate. But I agree with you. I think that, but that doesn't mean we couldn't dust it off and start anew, so to speak.
Yeah, that was never something that got a whole lot of force
Review.
behind it anyway.
Yeah.
And probably because of those gaps. I
Well,
know,
my
I
sense,
know the one high priority thing was handicapped access down to that float.
yeah, I think what happened is, you know, the engineers kind of took a first stab at it and then didn't really get any feedback one way or another, so it just sort of sat there.
What year are we talking about?
I don't remember, but it was just before I came back on the board.
Oh,
So it's been three, yeah.
Or
And there is grant
Oh,
money
it was
available.
before I went to St. George.
It was like 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there is some state grant money available for that type of stuff too, or the traditionally has been, so. But I think it needs a lot of work and a lot of input.
All right. Sorry if I sent you down a rabbit hole.
No, I turned the budget over to you.
Is there a motion for preliminary approval of the town landing budget of $7,956?
Oh,
Second.
Bob, any discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
and
We need the reserve.
And that's what I was gonna speak to. And right now, we're not anticipating a boat excise tax for this year to be $7,900. We're anticipating it to be around 6,000. So this year, we would end up taking money out of the reserve, if that in fact is true. So we are not proposing to put anything.
What's currently the balance of the reserve?
The balance.
Money.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
I don't even believe it.
1, 2. 1229. No. 122, 1244. Oh, the balance isn't there.
no, I can look it up on Trio though.
I can get it. Yeah, if I
Okay,
can find my dog-eared page quickly. It's over 100,000.
that was like 128.
Yeah. I have.
Oh.
I have 130.
I don't have it on the report in here.
get all the boat excise and if we spend it. all.
So if you don't have it, Jeff, don't-
Yeah, I think it's about 138.
remember, it's quite a chunk of money.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Katie and I are asking each other, but we don't know the answer. Is the boat excise revenue dedicated only for that?
Correct. That would
Well,
be
that and potential,
required.
I mean, town meeting could always change that, town meeting could spend it on anything it wants to, but at this point. The town has voted to use the funds for maintenance of the town landing. And to possibly, if a piece of parcel of land, waterfront property came up that the town would buy. To use that for that purpose, but that would have to, in my opinion, would still have to go to a town meeting.
Right.
Well, obviously, it's gonna purchase, but.
But if that piece of property right next to the church.
It needs to be for boat access.
Yeah, the thought was for
Oh,
boat access,
boat access.
yes.
Well, you could get-
But town meeting can change it. Town meeting can spend it on
But-
fire.
We have property there to access the water. It was like if something came up on the island or in
Yeah,
another
that was the
location.
thought.
Yeah.
You need a lot more money than that.
Go ahead, yeah, but it could serve as a match if you needed like a 10%
Sure.
match.
Sure.
Or 5% match. That was the thought, but again, town meeting can do what it wants with it.
So,
I mean, because last year they did food giving to the fishermen.
Right, isn't it a perfect example, yeah.
right,
They could say, no, we want to spend it on the rebound.
so, but we were in search of a number and we never found one?
It's about 140,000.
Okay.
I actually.
Well,
I tried to get it, my computer froze.
oops.
It's gonna take me a minute. Do we want to do,
We have,
we haven't finished this, right?
Right.
I'm sorry. Why I'm looking, why don't I turn it over to you, Walter?
now I'm lost.
We just.
We approved of the.
Oh, yeah,
We're no action on the.
okay. Okay, I thought we said we did that.
So it's just.
All right, so I'm trying to keep. Do we wanna give it the hour? Do we wanna attempt a couple of other easy ones or folks? Had it and we need to. We need do a couple of things too. What's the pleasure? Folks wanna do a few more things? I mean, it's only 5:30. What do we say? We spend another half hour on budget stuff or 15 minutes?
Well, you've got to do this other stuff.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, but 15 minutes on budget stuff?
15.
Terry, can you pick a couple of easy ones? Why I'm looking for this number?
We'll just go to the top of the agenda for tomorrow and see where we.
Well, it depends on what's there. If it requires someone to be.
Conservation
Roads,
Commission has
roadway,
the one.
library, recreation, shellfish.
Town roads.
No, I'm not ready.
That's
for that.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Penny, would you
complicated.
be ready for library and cemetery?
Yeah,
I know it's not just cemetery, but you're part of the cemetery.
Yeah.
Oh, I think if I'm reading this right, it's quite a bit more than that. 150628. Yeah, that might be a 2% match on it.
John, just, is that before,
Yeah, that would be the
donation
last year.
from last, so,
Less any money we took out.
well, and we
Yeah,
took
it-
out money at town meeting.
Right, so you have to net those two numbers, so
Right.
it's not perfect. And if you're not ready, we could do something like debt service. or
No,
something.
good.
You going to library or cemetery school?
Up to Terry.
Oh, it doesn't matter to me.
So, point of order here, I think you should probably recuse yourself
Yeah.
from the budget committee. Right, right.
I will.
Yeah.
What page? Sorry.
Well, 35 is
Page
library.
35.
Right before record.
Library is page 35.
Thank you. We're starting out with.
You wanna walk it through thing?
Well, there was a kind of adjustment to the director's stipend, which is reflected in the benefits. The card program, that's actually the van delivery service, which would make a once-a-week van delivery possible and give you the capabilities to do your ordering at home. We're hoping to get that going before the fiscal year runs out. And the rest is the ebook, audiobook, online membership. And that's the internet. And then the book budget. And I do have some revenues accumulating in our checkbook and I don't see why we couldn't apply some of those to our budget.
Where are the revenues from?
book sales and lunch and donation, a lot of very generous donation.
Well, this personally, this strikes me as pretty bare bones already.
It is.
It'd be nice, maybe use some of those things for some enhancement, not, but
Well, I am,
that's just my.
I am,
Yeah.
that, but I think I crossed 10,000 yesterday with that deposit in our checking account, and I think I have a limit of 15,000,
Yeah.
so I have to.
Right.
And I mean, we have about $1,000 in memberships planned to purchase, which would be the botanical gardens, the Barnes where CMCA, Owl's Head, which will be a membership you can check out from the library, and a card that you can go visit these
Very
various.
nice.
Awesome.
It is.
And, you know, hopefully we can expand that, bigger libraries have a national park, or I mean, a state park pass. So we could possibly go in that direction too, but still, there's still money there, but we're very fortunate to have a lot of generous donors.
So turn it
So
over to you, Walter.
there is no. No action on transferring money from your checking account against this budget, or would that happen later?
Yeah. Well, there's two ways to do it. We could use some of that money as a revenue offset, or we could reduce the budget and you just buy it out of your checkbook.
Right.
So there's two ways to get to the same.
Okay, so,
But
so our action is to vote on the $5,000.
unless we want to take the route of cutting the budget and funding it, have you just purchase it directly? I guess what would you prefer?
I guess I'd rather keep the money in the budget,
And then turn over some funding.
yeah,
Okay.
because I think that number is important for people to see.
Yep.
Exactly what running a community center library is
Yeah.
costing them, which is nothing,
Yeah.
basically.
That's right.
Okay.
I agree.
I'm not.
I think that's a clean way to do
Yeah.
it. too. We just need to show it as a revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever number you end up coming up with, you think is appropriate.
And as you can tell by the columns, Penny did not ask for the raise.
Right.
I just wondered, when you were talking about all those, cards, like to museums, what line is that on?
That will come out of our checkbook. It
Oh,
won't
that
show
is
up
not
in
here.
the budget.
Okay. But if we want to show what the money's going for,
Well, that's kind of an extracurricular.
well, it's a great thing the library does.
Well, I guess I look at this budget as more as operations of what's happening in the building.
Okay.
And we've been gifted some memberships, and so that could be in flux, whether,
And
We
they're
have-
annual,
yeah, they
right?
have occasionally been gifted to us as a donation.
So there's no funds changing hands, it's just you get the.
Like someone
Yeah.
was here, we got the
Yeah.
membership this
Right.
year.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
sponsored, as they call it.
So that checkbook is essentially a library director's discretionary fund. Is that the same model that Amy has with the ambulance service? And, okay. All right, so.
Fire department used to have one, but they did away with it. Right,
They don't have one.
They don't
They
have-
have, they have a small donation.
right, but all that, the expenses come through the town.
Yep,
We recorded it as a donation,
yep,
and then when they want to use it, we, the town,
right.
although your checkbook is the town too, but.
Yeah.
It goes through your,
And I have to get permission to spend more than.
Right.
500, something like that.
something like that, and supposedly you're not supposed to have more than 15,000 in it, right?
Yeah.
And this is all accumulated in the past year, and I've spent plenty out of it too, so I would get.
And we don't have a reserve or anything like that for the library, is there a reason we don't? I mean, there's something for me.
Well, that's kind of under buildings and grounds and the relocation monies that came out of surplus a couple of years ago, that has been carrying over.
That was that 10,000.
I think it was
Town meeting and-
20,000.
It was
20,000.
yeah, I don't know how much is left.
And it's-
They said 4,500 to replace the sprinkler heads this past year.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there was a little spent
There
the
was
year before too.
something else too.
John Hanson, the fee,
The filing.
Yeah.
With the
And,
state fire marshal's office.
and he paid his assistant who
Right.
did the drawings and, yeah. Something else came, it's really fun, but
Yeah, I think so too. When I try to go back into Trio, it freezes my, because I'm remoting. It doesn't like it, so I can get that information for tomorrow if you want.
It was very little.
So is it, that's up to you, I think it
Yeah,
is.
motion, can there be a budget committee motion and the amount of $5,020 for the library, preliminary approval of the library budget? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Sandra. Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor?
I'll abstain.
So my question is, are we gonna be able to do the cemetery, George's River and the shelters and veterans in 4 minutes, 5 minutes?
I think so. I find it.
All right,
Well, I can't speak to Georgia River, so.
Oh, that's pretty cut and dry.
Right.
that hasn't changed, right,
No.
at all.
Oh,
So what are we tackling next? Recreation?
Page 40. No, not recreation.
Cemetery George's River.
Hmm?
Cemetery, the George's River Shellfish and the veterans, it's kind of a catch-all.
Pretty cut and dry, we're hoping to spend the 5,600 on repairs again this year through Gravestone Matters. And grading another road. Which will get the modern part of the village cemetery in good shape. At some point, we'll have to do Anderson, but we'll wait till the more complains.
And so people that haven't gone down there and looked, the new avenue was put in last summer. Really nice, came out right,
Yeah,
and we graded, took the hump out of how many roads?
76.
Yeah, people were actually starting to tear them humpless off. Going down.
Then 5 would be the one we could do next.
Yeah.
And then you get to the old part where we don't want to encourage you, so.
What happened to mowing Thorndike?
It's under salary and stipends.
And that's still the people that live there? Okay, thank you.
They've done a wonderful job. They spread loam, they seed, they take down bush, they're bushwhacking into the willy wax and reclaiming some as they go.
And access is okay from Waterman Beach Road?
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean.
It's not great, but
Depends on the time of year.
yeah,
Yeah. Haven't been there in a while,
yeah,
but
it's a rough road, but they're,
Have you heard from Violet at all? Because I have.
yes, 2 trees went down at Forest Hill.
Because
I gotta go down and take a look.
she's stopped calling me.
Yeah, she calls Bill now.
Yeah, she hasn't called in a while.
Well, she called a couple of days ago to
Oh.
say 2 trees went down, so she didn't, I'm sure she didn't go up there. But
Yeah.
probably David did. So I'm gonna round up some volunteers to cut it up.
That probably does need some
It does.
loaming and seeding and stuff. It's had got some erosion problems. But
We seeded last year. There's also a big tree down in the village, but again, I think we can do it with village, volunteer efforts.
Walter, I'll turn it over to you.
We're gonna have a motion to approve the petrol budget, if you will, budget number 695 in the amount of 23,468, and the shellfish 3,000 is just what we pay as our part of the whole thing, right? So
Yes.
it's non-negotiable. So moved. Thank you, Bob. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And I think John would like it if I have a motion to adjourn the budget committee.
And I don't
The cemetery reserve. what-
Pardon?
I'll abstain. from those.
Yeah, I got that.
Thank
What's the reserve?
Thousand, your cemetery reserve.
Is there a motion to approve 1,000 for the cemetery reserve?
So moved.
Should also woefully inadequate. but Better than nothing.
Yeah, Anderson's gonna be a big
Yeah.
challenge at some point. All in favor? All right, now. Can I have a motion to adjourn the budget committee? Second,
Second.
all in favor? So indicate by moving your feet.
The select board will stay in the winter.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the prep, making this so easy.
We'll see everyone tomorrow.
The days of sign in and
I do prefer the board on meetings.
Me too.
yeah.
I just have
All that are available.
Yeah.
Well, Moira never could meet us because she worked until 5 or something.
I think it's the rest of us retired.
I wish.
I wouldn't call you retired.
Tired, maybe.
So, like, we're gonna stay in meeting, we got a couple of business taken care of.
See, I just wanted, before I leave, ask if you guys had any questions about
Well,
the.
I was actually gonna ask if you could perhaps stay.
Sure.
And, because I think it would. We may or may not go into executive session, but even if we do, we can potentially invite you in, but I personally would like to do.
See you, Bob.
So the first thing we need to do is we need to pin down with Owl's head. I think we're all set.
We're all set with all said, yes.
All right, and so that's gonna work. We're gonna meet here.
Yes.
Conservation
that-
Commission is gonna meet at
5:30.
Butler at 5:30, and they won't be able to Zoom, but that's okay, correct? Is that the
No,
plan?
Yeah,
That-
that's what
that's for tomorrow night, tomorrow's meeting.
No, I'm talking about,
Wednesday.
isn't
Right.
that a problem, though?
Yes, but they were gonna meet at 5:30
Here,
here.
okay, so our meeting without that is gonna be here the 10th at 4, and
Yes,
I'll have to break by 5:25.
yeah,
For 5:25.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good with that, Sue, you get that?
Yep.
Okay.
That's next month.
That's 4:10. Right?
Today.
it's 5:10. Five,
5:10, sorry, 5:10.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and we're all set tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes, tomorrow they're meeting at Guilford Butler with no Zoom.
Okay. The other thing I feel like we need to do is we promised Amy that we would,
Wednesday.
when I got back, we would
Yeah,
schedule a workshop to work on her SOPs and that policy. So I'd like to try to find a couple of dates that would work so that Terry could pass on to Amy. My sense is she prefers 4 o'clock or so. Is that your sense?
It's the business.
Or
I
5?
think that, yeah, maybe. I think the 4 o'clock was more David. David gets out of work, but. I mean,
Well-
Amy's schedules are so crazy that.
Right, but I mean, if she goes, she lives away from Belfast,
Yeah.
drive back down,
Right,
and I don't think it's gonna work in Zoom. I think
No,
we
it
need to
wouldn't.
find a time when she's gonna physically be
yeah.
here.
You need. to
So
go-
can we pick a couple of dates?
Actually having to go someplace out of town.
let me see, we're April 10th
Yeah.
today. How about? I'm just gonna throw this out. How about the third or the fourth?
I'm good on either.
Sue?
Yeah, I'm fine for either.
And we'll shoot, we're be a little flexible in time, but I guess you can talk to her, 4, 5, 4:30, whatever works for her.
What days are we should that, are we gonna run into the library committee? Meeting?
Shouldn't if it's early,
We shouldn't if it's early. They meet at, right, they meet at 6. The Conservation Commission meets at 5.
right?
Okay.
They're the ones that meet early. We keep
Yeah.
forgetting.
Yeah, we might change it. It's like, I keep hitting these
I know.
bumps.
So, but then we keep forgetting. I keep forgetting. Oh, maybe it's 5. So if those days don't work at all, we'll, if you can get to her, maybe we can revisit this tomorrow night or the
Yep.
night after. Okay? All right.
So the 3rd or 4th at 4 or 5?
Well, for whatever,
4-ish,
if she
5.
wants David in, then it's probably gonna be 4:15 or something,
Yeah.
but whatever. But early enough so we have some time. Is that gonna be in conflict with the library committee?
Well, they meet at 6. They
What-
meet
what- they
the
meet-
first Thursday of the month.
First Thursday.
I don't know what days of the month. these are.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday and
They
Thursday.
met last week, didn't they, to approve their,
Yeah, that was an emergency meeting. Well, I don't
that would
know.
have been the first Thursday, because I think Catherine's gone to France and.
Well, let's shoot for Wednesday, and then
Okay.
we're not, but maybe Thursday is a backup,
Okay,
okay?
Yep.
All right, the other thing we need to deal with is the Klein property. We did get a recommendation from the Conservation Commission. Would you, would the board members prefer to discuss this in executive session, at least initially?
Well, I think before we go into executive session, I just want to say what a great job. I was very impressed with it.
Me too.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very much so.
But yeah, I can think she goes.
Okay, I actually would like to invite Sonia into that session as a, if you're willing to, as a representative from the Conservation Commission.
Because I might be able to answer.
Right, exactly, because you were at that meeting, correct?
And I wrote that thing.
I knew, oh, you wrote, okay. All right. So is there a motion to go into executive session under what?
And I don't have my cheat sheet with me, but I think it's D for real estate.
okay.
Paragraph D.
And we probably will not take any action when we come out tonight, but I can't guarantee them.
Do we have, so someone move in second?
Jeff moved.
Okay,
Is there a second, Sue? Enter executive session?
Frozen? Oh, there she comes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it keeps freezing.
sorry.
Oh.
Just looking for a second to enter executive session and we're inviting Sonia.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Jeff,
Sue?
Sue, I.
John. Thank you, Penny. Yeah.
bye Penny. Okay, let me